Well, good afternoon and welcome back to our midweek encouragements. I've had a little bit of a break and I wanted to chime back in this week. Hopefully, it will be an encouragement to those who can tune in or can watch later. I aim to hopefully be one who will build you up today and that just like myself, always needing encouragement in the faith. And so during this week, working on several different projects. One, I'm reading a book for review um, by John Owen that was sent to me by Crossway. I'm doing a uh, sermon preparation for a study in Isaiah 27, in particular, verse 1, um, concerning Leviathan. And then also in more so my downtime, I am reading through several books. But one, I'm reading through a new novel that I picked up at a beautiful bookstore down in Franklin, Tennessee, um, just in the previous week that the owner there recommended, and it's called Theo of Golden. And I like to interweave a few things that I'm reading into our into my talk today, because I believe they do relate. Let me start with the biblical truth. It's always the best place to start, and just talk about something that John Owen said that I found quite encouraging, and that is his description in his sermon on the branch. His description of the church as living stones is quite telling. Let me just read an excerpt of this to you, and it's in a forthcoming volume of John Owen on the Christian Life, Volume 19, put out by Crossway. And I'm sure it's in the regular um, set by banner, or you could find it online. But um, he writes that it speaks of the church as a living house. It is a living house unto whom coming as unto living a living stone. You also, as lively stones, are built up as a spiritual house. 1 Peter 2:4-5. Christ the foundation is a living stone, and they that are built upon him are living stones. Hence, they are said to grow together into a house. Growth is a sign of life, growing from an inward principle, such as the growth of anything is, such is its life. The growth of this house is spiritual, and so therefore also is its life. It lives with a spiritual life, a life whose fullness is in its foundation. He has life in himself, John 5, verse 26. And from him, in them, I am crucified with Christ. Nevertheless, I live. Galatians 2, verse 20. Yea, it is himself in them, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. It is true, those stones are dead in the rock as well as others, by nature children of wrath, as well as they, Ephesians 2:3, being dead in trespasses and sins. Verse 1. He who hoes them out gives them life. He quickens them when dead in trespasses and sins. There is not one rotten dead stone in all this building. However, some such may, by the advantage of their outward appearance, crowd in, yet they're not of the house itself. And I simply want to just pick up one thought with this, um, or at least I intend just one thought, and that is the idea that these stones, apart from the life that Christ gives them, um, are children of wrath, dead in their sins. But he not only gives them life, but these stones grow together. And this is the house of God. This is the people of God that he's building, and he will build without fail. Um, it's also encouraging to know when there's dysfunction in that, we often see that there are stones that wish to crowd um, in terms of pretense that are not part of the house itself. And that's not to cause any unrest of conscience in those who are especially sensitive, but it's, I think, something of encouragement so that you know when there are dysfunctions and when there are difficulties in the church, it is largely because of those type of things. But what I want to capitalize on in this time is really thinking about who you are, Christian, in the Lord, that God has made you a living stone, and you see evidence of that as you grow together with other Christians into being built into the house God is making. And it's a beautiful picture. And it's also, I think, something that is undervalued in the discussion on assurance, is to be able to know, in a sense, that you are the Lord's children, by virtue that you are growing together with other Christians. And that is, I think, something just to meditate upon in who you are. You are called saints in the Bible, meaning holy ones. And that is an objective fact because God has made you such. And no matter how you might feel at times, the reality, the objective reality of what the gospel has done in your life is that He has changed you, He has made you alive, and He has made you to be part of God's house, evidenced by your growing together with other Christians. He has changed your love for self and a life that is self absorbed to a love for others and a love for God and the things of God. And therefore, there has been a new creation that has taken place, and He is taking all these new creations and building them into a house, one huge, wonderful house of God in the world. Now, um, I want to also uh, put some pressure on the issue of how we might feel differently than we are. And that is that we see there are times that we are sad, there are times that we waver, there are times that we are discontent, but that's not who we are. Our feelings do not always reveal reality. In fact, at times they can steer us far from it. And that's where I want to bring in um, a little bit of the novel that I was reading because it helped me to see something of this. Good fictional novels help us to see truth more clearly. So um, it's hard for me to capture everything that's in the first part of this book. I'm not many chapters in. I'm about 7 chapters in, to be exact, in this book, Theo of Golden. It's by a author named Alan Levy. I know nothing of his spiritual condition or who he is. I just know that it thus far has been a great story. And the story goes simply of an older man who's the main character coming in and playing. He's finds himself in a place for about a year, and he um, goes to this coffee shop where there's evidently very good coffee, but also there's these portraits on the wall, these drawings that are well done. He notices them. He is a very observant person, and it seems coming out or from the very beginning, this value of being observant of people is highlighted. And he's observant. He's observant of good coffee. He's observant of good pictures and art, and he sees in these portraits that this artist who drew these is exceptionally a magnificent artist, and he captures in each face um, a lot of who the person is. And this particular character um, who um, who is found throughout Theo of Golden, um, he he has an idea to buy these drawings and return them to the rightful owner. Um, he wondered why people didn't buy them to begin with, but he has this idea to buy them and to give them to the owner. And so, as this might seem a little bit creepy, he's an older man. He takes the risk and jots a note through conversation with the owner of the coffee shop um, and through finding out who each person is that was drawn. Um, he sends the note to this first couple. Um, the woman is the one who's portrait is drawn, and that uh, woman's portrait is what he wants to give back to this family. So he sends a letter to um, to her. The husband and her read it over, and they decide to meet this gentleman to receive the picture. The husband was planning on buying the actual photo, the picture. I keep saying photo. I'm sorry. The picture to give to his wife, and she knew that. Um, by the end of the story, at least her part of the story, she's just overjoyed that he didn't because of what happens in this meeting with this older man. And in in some, when she meets with this older man, and they give he gives the photo. He explains to her um, why he is doing this and what he saw, and and I won't unveil all the story there. It's just something you have to read, and it's really hard to capture just in my words. That's why you got to read the book. But for purposes I'm using for encouragement, at the end of it, um, well, I got one more thing you have to know before I get to the end of it. Um, he complimented her in terms of seeing that she um, i- is strong. He sees strength in her eyes and bravery and kindness. Um, and she was all taken back and encouraged by that. But he also said he saw sadness. And this brought out um, something she was carrying for a long time. She was carrying evidently some guilt from a situation I won't reveal because I don't want to spoil the story. And um, and she unburdened her heart because it was true. But here's what is important, and that is at the end of the account, at the end of the story, this objective reality of who she is highlighted over um, what she does carry with her and her feelings. And the way the chapter ends, I think, captures the way we need to really look at ourselves as Christian believers, objectively who we are, even though we may experience times of sadness and discontent in this world. Let's hear what it says. Last paragraph. They hung the picture in the bedroom, at the place where Manette often stood to dress in the mornings. Had anyone walked in at the right moment and listened carefully, they might have heard her whisper, "Good morning, Saint Manette. You are strong, and you are brave, and you are kind, even when you're sad." And I would say this: Good morning, saints. You are strong, you are brave, and you are kind, even when you're sad. May God bless you this week and lead you up to the Lord's Day with expectation and hope. Blessings to you in our Lord Jesus Christ.